Hello, hello, dear audience. This is the VPNTESTER live chat, and today I'm glad to introduce David Wibergh from OVPN.
Hey,
Hello,
Mark.
David.
Hey.
Hey. David, we have known each other for a long time, but we haven't had the chance to talk in public, especially for the past 2 years. So I guess some things has changed. And what I also want to add is thank you very much for your openness and for sharing your company's transparency with our audience. That's not something that everyone can expect from companies nowadays. And well, I have prepared some questions, and then we will take some questions from our audience. People who are writing us here in live chat, of course, we will also add your questions most probably at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And well, let's start, David. Are you fine?
Yeah, sounds great.
So I try to display my chat here. So my first question that I have, frankly speaking, I have prepared it. Could you start telling us a little bit about the history of OVPN and the motivation behind creating these VPN servers?
Yeah, of course. So it basically traces back to my time when I worked as an engineer at an ad tracking company. And there I witnessed firsthand sort of the staggering volume of data points that can be harvested from people online. And it was both eye-opening and really concerning, just the amount of information you can discern from people. And I knew from before that VPN services are a pretty good first step to increase your privacy online. And this was also around the time that Edward Snowden revelations occurred. So those two things combined and sort of recognizing the gaps of existing VPN solutions was what inspired me to establish OVPN. So I didn't think any of the other options were trustworthy and weren't a better option. So with that in mind, I thought that OVPN would be a better option for users because, I mean, if you want genuine privacy, there wasn't an option back then.
Well, so if I'm assuming that privacy is a key element for OVPN, right? And and you also mentioned that the difference to others on the market in terms of privacy, maybe, or what do you mean with that?
Yes, I mean, at OVPN, privacy isn't just a buzzword; it's the foundation of our entire design process. So our commitment to user privacy is basically a multi-layered approach that you can't find elsewhere. So basically these layers exist of the hardware that runs our VPN servers. So we own all of our VPN servers. They're physically designed to be inaccessible, even if you're standing right next to the server. They also run without hard drives. And then the next layer would be, the actual software on the VPN servers that we have adjusted it to be, hardened. We have no logs. We have secure defaults. We do regular updates, and we make sure that the software on the servers are also focused on the privacy. The next layer beyond that is, the software that we let users install on their computers, our VPN apps. They only come with, default privacy settings and secure settings. We don't offer protocols that aren't secure, and we have pretty firm default settings that we ship to our customers. And I mean, the next layer is also like internal security. The, how we secure our own laptops and our own internal systems and how we restrict access and whatnot. So it's really a multi-layered approach that you can just continue on sort of mentioning these items, and you can't really find that elsewhere, where at least it's transparent and detailed and talked about.
Yes, I can confirm this because I know others as well. And how does it comply with the privacy law in Sweden? You're based in Sweden or the European Union, and are there specific requirements or standards that must meet?
Yes. So in Sweden, there's a law called the Data Retention Directive, and it applies to internet service providers, detailing that they need to be able to, know who had an IP address at what time. This does not apply to OVPN because by law, a VPN provider is not an internet service provider. So we don't have any obligation to log, but if we did log information, we'd be required to share that information to authorities when requested. But since we don't log and we don't possess any data, we can't give authorities anything if we're asked.
Understand. We come now to a very actual topic, most probably for many of our audiences or many of our visitors. OVPN has been acquired by a US company. It's called Pango. What kind of investment is that?
Yes. So this is pretty recent. Pango acquired OVPN in April, and it's a strategic investment. Pango excels in certain areas and OVPN excels in others. And by joining forces and combining what they do great and what OVPN does great, we can really improve the products and offerings to a lot of users. And it'll lead to improved experiences for our customers.
Okay, has it any changes, or how does this change the daily practice of your company? Since you got acquired.
It changes things because it enriches our daily operations and the way we work and the way we do things. But our core mission and ethics remain the same. They haven't changed and they won't change. Our foundational principles and dedication to privacy remain, and they are steadfast. We have the same mission. We have the same ethics. And what this does to our daily operations is, we get a lot more resources. We've been, a pretty small company, and with Pango's assistance, we can really accelerate our growth and increase the amount of innovation that we can really do. We're great at product. We're terrible at marketing. And being able to have that assistance and being able to get our service out to more customers is a huge benefit. And that's something that they excel in and they're talented in. And it's something that we don't really do well. We're great at building product. We're not good at marketing. So, they assist us with that. We're working towards getting 24/7 support, which is something our customers have requested, but we haven't been able to do in the current, with our current team. And also OVPN has been a small team during the entire duration of the company. And I've been the owner, and there is a risk with that constellation when there's so much that relies on one specific person. If I would go out and get hit by a bus, that would have had pretty drastic, awful circumstances, not only for me, but for the company. And now that responsibility is, distributed across more people, and therefore the risk of the company has been reduced. Just because if anything happens to one individual, it doesn't necessarily have the same sort of devastating effects it would have had otherwise.
I can imagine. I agree. So can we say that the advantages of working together are now that first, most probably OVPN has more resources. Second, the service has gone from an owner-operated company to an, let's call it, international company. And what other benefits do you now see for the company or the customers themselves from these mergers or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very correct assessment. And for our customers, they're going to get a better service than they previously did. It's they're going to get more features. They're going to get more servers. They're going to have more updates, and I mean, also a major thing is we're going to be able to bring privacy to more people. So not only do the current customers get better stuff, but other people that are perhaps not using a VPN service that's as secure, or they're not aware of the need yet, we're going to be able to help them as well, thanks to Pango.
I see. Well, let's come maybe to another topic. OVPN, from my perspective, is well known internationally. How has your service developed in countries such as Germany, for example? And what particular changes or opportunities have you seen in this market, maybe during the last year or years?
Yes. So, I mean, I think for Germany, I mean, we have our website in German. We try to do support in German. I try to say Servus and not have a bad, accent saying it. But, Germany is one of our bigger countries of where we have customers, and it's really important for us. And we focus on that by, making sure that we have servers where it's needed, that we have, that we support the popular streaming services as well, and that we are very, we listen to the people, and we understand that there are cultural differences, but that also ring pretty true to our mission. And there's a strong emphasis of data privacy and security in Germany, and that's something that rhymes pretty well with OVPN, and it's it makes sense for us to focus a lot on Germany and the German market.
Are there plans to enter different markets as well? I mean, Germany, United States, of course, Sweden. I know you're very famous in Sweden as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any other countries that you have in focus in close future?
So, I mean, those are our primary markets, but you can purchase OVPN from pretty much anywhere. So even though we have those 3 countries, we have customers in over 120 countries. But, the German-speaking market, Austria, Switzerland, is also hugely of interest to us. Sweden is. The US is. It's competitive. There's a lot of players in all of these countries. But, as a Swede, we always, look up to the Germans. So it makes sense for us to continue focusing a lot on the German market.
I see. How do you choose locations for your VPN servers, and how does this benefit the users? I mean, why are you choosing a server on a special location and not on another?
Mm-hmm. So we base it on our customers. We listen to what they want, and we do what they want primarily. So when we have enough customers requesting a region, we try to make that happen. And, we do that, but then we also have strategic decisions. So even though if we have a lot of customers requesting servers in Brazil, but the legislation isn't favorable, then we're not going to place servers in Brazil, because, I mean, our core focus is still privacy and security. And if we can't guarantee those 2 things, then it's not something we're going to do.
Understandable. What kind of support or customer service do you provide for your users? And how can, or otherwise, how can users get help when they have problems or any questions about the service? How does that work?
So we currently have live chat pretty much during business hours. It's not always business hours. And then we have email. We are transitioning. We're working towards getting 24/7 support in place. And that's, it's a process that takes a while because we need to make, get the team members, make sure they're competent and they are aware of everything that we do and our threshold of competence. And then that has to scale up. So we're going to have 24/7 support soon, but we're not there yet. We also work on, making sure our FAQ is up to date and has all of the information needed, just so you can pretty much self-serve. Yeah.
I see. When we're talking about the future, can you give something like an overview of future developments or plans, particularly with regard to privacy and security in the VPN service that you offer?
Yes. So I think, our main focus right now in terms of like the next major build or feature that we're going to include is obfuscation. We receive a lot of people from countries that have restrictive regimes, and they're trying to block OVPN, and we want to make sure that it's a lot more difficult to block access to OVPN than it is currently. So that's sort of the main feature that we're working on to release.
That's interesting. And I do understand your point of view in this case, but I can say that we have users even from Iran and from Turkey that are using your service every day and without any problems and hassle-free. So, but it's good if you try to become even better in this case. And there is a lot of countries that are applying restrictions to use VPN services nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
What advice do you have for people considering using a VPN service, particularly in terms of ensuring their privacy?
Yeah, I mean, I am not fully neutral in the question. Like my first recommendation would be, like pick OVPN. We're pretty great at what we do. But, trying to give a more neutral answer would sort of be, many review sites rank like VPN providers based off of how much they pay and not the quality or the privacy. And I mean, it's no coincidence that some VPN brands are consistently the top choices. So for the privacy conscious people, my recommendation would be, do your research and use different channels or sources of information. Talk to people that are knowledgeable, look on Twitter, look on Reddit, read review sites, look on YouTube, just many sources of information to give another dimension or perspective of, it's a complicated issue. There's so many layers and information to know. So it's also difficult to be a consumer in such a, there's so many items to keep track of. And it's a lot of responsibility to put on consumers to actually be able to figure all of this out. So, I mean, you're doing a great job with that and helping people figuring out good options for them.
Yeah, it's very difficult, of course. Yeah, it's a very difficult question. I agree. From all the users. Are there any specific privacy or cybersecurity challenges or developments that you think will be relevant in the coming years on the market or what in technology and so on?
It's a difficult question. I'm not good at predicting the future. I think that sort of the obvious thing I see on the horizon is that AI has pretty huge privacy and security challenges going forward. How all of the input data is handled, and there's just so much data inserted into AI, and that information is going to be accessible by authorities and other players, and perhaps are they sharing it with marketing to ad agencies and whatnot. So I think there are privacy concerns regarding that might not be obvious right now, but that will probably increase in size as it becomes more adopted, which it should. I mean, it's pretty great what the capabilities of it is, but I think it's important to think about the consequences and the responsibilities of it as well.
I mean, you said at the beginning that you're not good in predicting or in taking a look into the future. And seriously, that's also my case, because I expected a very loud protest when Google changed his browsers and the way how they are going to track the users' behaviors. But this loud voice was not available. Yeah, so they made it very smart. We started 1 year ago to tell to the audience. Then they were talking with the politicians, saying, "Oh, everything is legal, and this is why we become quiet." And at the end, now we did it already. Yeah, and I mean, Google is tracking us much more and collecting much more data than ever before. And no one was really shouting out loud that's need to be stopped. But okay, so we will see how we are going to do. Anyway, I think it's individual responsibility from each if you want to care or not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Google isn't the only company that tracks more and more and more of us.
Definitely not. Definitely, yeah. Okay, let's come to something positive. Can you share any success stories or impacts from customers that had experienced, something like positive impacts in their experience by using OVPN? I mean, something like a customer who got really protected and something like this.
I mean, we receive regular feedback from customers about being able to access resources or websites that they couldn't before, or that they, live in countries where they're worried about, being monitored. So I would say those items, but there aren't, any specific ones that I want to mention above any else, because a lot of people have really good use cases of it.
I do remember the owner of the privacy, the pirate. How is the name? The Pirate Bay, right? And they were hiding behind OVPN somehow. You also don't know them, of course, because you don't know your customer. But they were very happy that they were not be trackable because of your service. Anyway. Okay, when we are talking about OVPN and all these things that have changed, and I see there was a lot of changes during the last months, especially also with Pango and so on, and your role inside of the company has changed, as I understand. So you're not just the owner anymore, and it's not just an owner-driven company. So you are more or less now the manager of a global service of a company. So that's also something like an improvement, what you're doing most probably. So I want to ask you what you intend to play, or which role do you want to intend to play in ensuring users' privacy or data integrity in future? What is your vision with the product OVPN or with the service OVPN for the future in these matters?
Yes. So, I mean, I'm even though I'm not the owner of OVPN anymore, I'm still the CEO of OVPN. and I have a great relationship with Pango, and the how I envision OVPN going forward is keeping true to the way we've always operated, bringing privacy and security, but now with Pango, that we can do it to even more people, that we can really increase our growth and really bring OVPN into more people's devices, so more people become secure online. That's my vision, and I don't think it needs to be more extensive than that. I think that's a very honest and very something to strive for, and I think that would be a vision that I'd be really happy to see come to fruit.
You are known as a modest and trustful person with your words, as always. Well, let's come to some audience questions. Some of them was sent to us in our Telegram groups and on other platforms, and I'm going to read them, and I would love to ask you to answer them in a short way, or in the way that you feel that it's a proper way.
Okay.
So first question that we received was, to what extent does Pango influence their company structure? Are servers subject to the company, or do you have influence in any way? So I think the question is, which influence has Pango now to servers and everything? Or do you have still the influence to all these security features and hardware decisions and so on?
Yeah, so everything is still, run the same way. They are very, understanding and listening, and they don't want to, ruin or destroy OVPN. They want to keep it true. So, they haven't influenced the way we operate or the way we run our servers. That's the way it has been. It's been the same way the entire time. Does that answer your question? Or
I think so. Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think that was the intention of the reader who were writing this. They wanted most probably to know what kind of influence Pango has now by operating the company. Yeah, hopefully that got answered. Next question we received was, what about cooperation or governmental letters? So do you receive governmental letters, maybe even from the United States? Yeah, I think this is what we predict to say here. Or is there any cooperation with governments or something like this?
So, I mean, we do receive letters from time to time. And it's, since we don't log, there's nothing we can provide. I mean, we are a company. We need to adhere to the laws. If we would just, not, if we would go and become criminals, we wouldn't be able to run the company. But the way we operate the company is fully legal, and we do it in a way that allows us to not store any user logs. So there's nothing for us to give. But yes, we do receive requests at time. We outlay them in our transparency reports that we publish on our blog, and they're accessible to see in quantity. We don't list the actual letters that we receive, but we do quantify the requests.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, if you operate a company, any company, illegally, then your bank accounts will be blocked, your employees will be fired after that, and the company is closed. That's simple. And I do understand the best is not to have any data. If you don't have data, what can we do? A government usually don't give you money to say, but you have to change this. They will not finance it. They will just ask you, give us this data, and you will say, well, I would give you, but we don't have. Right.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's always they're nice, and they understand when we respond saying the way it is, and it's not an issue afterwards.
Okay, let's come to the third question. Why has the support not been so on point lately? It means about long waiting times or something like this.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry that the person feels that way. I don't think it's a widespread sentiment. I think that we respond to most tickets every day, or most people.
Are you checking this? I mean, are you empowered to say, well, 90% get a message during an hour or something like this? Can you do something like statistics, or is it just a feeling that you're doing everything right?
No, we have statistics, but I don't have the full facts now. But I do know we get responses. We keep track of that, and it's not that something has become worse, during the last months or so. It's more that we have more people responding to tickets now than we've ever had. So people should receive quicker responses now versus before. And we are working towards scaling to 24/7. So there should be very, good, accurate responses, which are probably more important than that you receive a poor response very quickly.
Yeah.
And we hope to do both good responses and do them quickly.
I think so. I think that's answered more or less. We come to the question number 4. It's most probably, I was just reading while you were talking. He said, so first of all, we translated this question from German to English. So if you can't, how can I say? Maybe it's a little bit different than it was before, but the sense should be the same. So cool. Looking forward to the interview. My understanding is that Pango is a normal company that wants to make a profit and has worked with VPN providers where the privacy issue can at least be questioned. Why did OVPN take this step anyway? And another question he had, to what extent does Pango have an impact? But I think that was already answered in question number 1. So
okay.
Why did you do this step when Pango, I don't know what privacy issues with other providers appeared? Was probably it means about the hotspot shield and others, but I don't know exactly.
Yes. So, I mean, I understand the question. I mean, in terms of Pango wanting to make a profit, the same applies to OVPN. Even though we focus on privacy and security, we're not a non-profit organization. We've always wanted profit as well. So I don't see that being a difference. And in terms of privacy issues, I mean, they purchased OVPN due to our focus on privacy and security and the way we operate. They see benefits with getting our knowledge and the way we've built our systems to be able to take that knowledge and integrate it in their other products as well. And I mean, I'm not sure to the specific items that this person is worried about regarding Pango, but I mean, they're very smart, capable people. They have different products. They have, a freemium model where they also show ads. That's not something that's applicable to OVPN at all. It's not going to be applicable. I mean, we're going to be able to improve their other products as well with our knowledge and the way we've built OVPN. Does that answer, would you say?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
Another, the 5th question, and another issue, what about mobile with multi-hop?
So for Android, that is almost fully complete. We are talking about a few weeks away from us releasing it on the Play Store.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So we have a very newly designed and very fresh-looking Android app that we are waiting to release.
Oh, I want to use the old one. I mean, I don't know the new one.
You'll want to use the new one.
I won't? Okay.
You will.
I will. Okay, great. So it's on the way. Number 6, which is a complicated question, we decided to separate it in 3 different points. So 3 topics and questions from 1 user now.
Mm-hmm.
So number A, how does he see, I mean, how do you see in this case, but he wrote, how does he see the relationship between with the Swedish competitor Mulvad? Can he envision a joint future there in terms of fruitful exchange of know-how in the VPN space? So do you have any connections to Mulvad, and is anything ongoing?
No, I don't. There's nothing ongoing with Mulvad. I have a hard time seeing how we will work together as we're competitors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's now from my point of view. I do remember when 3 years ago there was written on the website of Mulvad, we are open, we are transparent, and you can visit us anytime, right? And I was in Sweden, and my assistant called them and said, okay, Martin is there, he wants to visit you now. And they said, sorry, we are not in Stockholm. I said, okay, so where you are, we will rent a car and we will come. And they said, no, we are not open that anyone is coming. Who will come? And then we said, VPNTESTER and so on. Then after 2 hours, we said that we are not allowed to come.
Wow.
We asked even during the last 3 years, a couple of times, and last response came 1 year ago, and they said definitely no interview, no visit, no anything with us. That's about transparency. I mean, I don't want to say anything about Mulvad in this case, but we also were writing about this in our review, in our online review, that, well, we asked them a couple of times and they refuse that we're going to visit them. Well, it's like this. I don't know about the decision why we do this, but it's like this. So, well, second part of this question, shouldn't Sweden, I mean here OVPN and Mulvad, also strive for a closer national shoulder? So do you see any situation where 2 or more, I mean there is more than 2 VPN providers in Sweden actually?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that it would be good to strive for a closer national shoulder together?
I mean, I think that's out of my competence. If I think it's good for us to have bigger Swedish companies versus 2 separate Swedish companies, or
and competition is something very fruitful for development and as well for pricing and at the end for user experience.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I don't know, I might be misunderstanding the question, but I don't necessarily see it as, that Sweden needs to have a bigger national shoulder versus other VPN companies in other countries.
Maybe the third question from him clarifies that a little bit more. He says, does David see the danger of the Pango group act in the sense of American colonialism in the long term? I mean, do you see any danger that another American company were buying a small European company, and it's from his perspective, it looks like colonialism?
Mm-hmm. I mean, my answer would be no. If I was worried or concerned about those dangers, I wouldn't have, done the deal with Pango.
Yeah. Okay. Difficult question.
Yeah.
I think I don't need to answer for everything. It's fine like this. So how is it actually when one contacts the support at OVPN is the email address that one has to provide getting stored? OVPN knows, or does OVPN knows to which OVPN account the address belongs? Even if the account was opened without an email address. So what they mean is, I think the question is that you don't need an email address to open a OVPN account, right? If they're writing to the support, do you store then the email address to his user account?
Okay. No, so we don't do that. But if you send us an email, we will have that email that you have sent us in our support system, unless you ask us to delete that email, which we do when customers request it, but it's not something that we do automatically.
Yeah, I mean, on the other hand, the users also want to get noticed when they come back, right? And maybe one issue appears several times, so it makes sense. Okay, now, David, this was the questions from our Telegram channels and from our group. And now I'm coming, oh my God, we have a lot of questions. And many of them are written in German, some are written in a language I don't understand. And some are written in German, okay, and English. Okay, I will try to translate, so please forgive me. I need some time, and I'm short-sighted already. Okay, first question. Let's try this. How will they give us privacy if the owner of OVPN is now a US company? Come on. This is what Patrick says.
Okay.
What would you reply? We don't need to answer fully or something. Just replying it's enough, I think.
So I think Sweden is still incorporated, or OVPN is still incorporated in Sweden. We're still the Swedish company. Everyone has dealings with the Swedish company. There isn't a connection to the US between the customers, would be my sense. And I don't necessarily think there's a default that US equals a very bad privacy. I think it depends on the people that run the companies. I mean, DuckDuckGo is based in the US. They're in the forefront of privacy in the search engine industry, and there's not an equal symbol between US and bad privacy.
Yes, I also would say like this. There is a lot of privacy experts and really straightforward people from America caring about privacy and also data security and everything. So America is not automatically evil. And again, you have to follow Swedish laws, right? So, and this means, yeah. Okay, another one was replying here. I just try to understand and read and translate and everything at the same time. So please forgive me. Yes, one question is here, which features are planned for the future? But we said already, right? It's first of all, new apps.
Yeah, so for Android, we have the multi-hop. And then for the other applications, we are primarily working on integrating obfuscation.
Okay. Yes. Here's someone saying, did we say already something to the Pango investment into OVPN? Yes, we did already, dear user. Okay, John, how can, yes, that's a question. I also have a question. How can OVPN afford all the dedicated servers for 60 euro per year?
So we can't afford all dedicated servers if we only received 60 euros per year. But thankfully, we have many thousands of customers that all pay 60 euros per year, which means, it's quantity that's required. And by having more customers,
you can't run this service with 50 users.
No,
right?
No, you can run it with 1,000
servers.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, so a lot of users.
Yeah, quantity.
But I mean, John, I'd be happy to raise the prices if you feel that, if you're worried.
I think that was not a question. It was, he wanted to force you to raise the price.
Yes, probably.
No, sorry, John. We are very grateful for your question.
Yes.
Cool stream. Thank you very much. Why could your service be resistant against the new VPN tunnel crack technology? Do you know what is a tunnel crack technology?
Yes. So the tunnel crack is a new vulnerability that affects VPNs. And when I've talked to my team, we're releasing a functionality also that improves against this for blocking IP addresses in your LAN network, so which will benefit here as well.
Is this still a threat, or is this still an issue in the actual version, or is it already solved?
So it's a subset of users have received it. It's not something that affects all platforms, but I don't have the specific information right now. It's something for our desktop client developer.
Okay. Okay. Is there any chance? Yes. Is there any chance for support EKEV2 protocol in future?
I'm never gonna say never, but there isn't any active plans.
Okay. Oh, that's a personal question. Do you think from the view of reputation it was worth it to be taken over by Pango? Do you want to say something to that?
I mean, I think that I understand that people can be worried. I think it's not necessarily that many that are. And I think the best way is just to let our actions speak. Yeah. And if you're uncertain, just see how we act going forward and use that as a basis.
Okay. Patrick writes, but there, I think he said, sorry, everything, it's very small for me, but there were most probably few VPN providers that also said that they are non-lock providers, and then they locked customers in the past. So what would you reply to that?
Yes, there are people that lie. We have gone to court. We have proved that we don't log. And I mean, when things really matter is if you trust us or not. We'll never be able to 100% guarantee that, promise every single second that we don't do it, but we say we don't. We have no intention of doing it. And it's basically up to if you trust us or not. If you don't trust us, it's better that you find an option or a provider that you feel lives up to your trust.
Okay. Here's a question. I'm not sure. Maybe we have answered already. What would your recommendation to become maximum anonym online? I mean, maximum anonymity is if you're not using your own device on a place where usually not are. This is my tip. Yeah. Maximum anonymity is using the device from someone else on a place where you was never before.
Yeah, probably. Or not going online.
Yeah. Computer 2 meters, dig a hole in the garden 2 meters.
Yeah.
Here, I didn't read. One second. I have another question about the servers. I have recently used the Polish server completely, and on the status website, it was not updated. One second, I need to see again. I have another question about the servers. I have recently used the Polish servers completely, and on the status website, it was not updated. I don't know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I don't understand the question. I mean, at times, the status page has service interruptions, and it's possible that when John checked that during that time there was an interruption that made that maybe the load was 0% or something. But it's difficult to know without sort of having that question rephrased.
Okay. Good question. Do you read it, or should I read it? Can you 100% confirm that your business concept will never change? It means privacy.
I mean, yes, but it's also really difficult to promise something forever. I can only talk about the past, but there are no plans to change OVPN's business concept. It would be pretty stupid to do so, since we are a very niche provider focused on privacy, and changing that would not be a smart choice.
Yeah. And there is a question that I would love to answer. The question is to you, but I want just to answer. Providing Russian servers are still not planned, right? And we were talking about this 2-3 weeks ago. And as I do understand this, well, it's something like this. If you are offering a Russian server, no, just if you do, then most probably you get also in some troubles with payment systems, maybe with American government, with others, and so on. And I mean, many knows that we have close relations to Russia, and everything is fine. And I think it's a normal country and great people there as well. But I do understand as well that the hypocrisy about sanctions and everything is a highly risk for each company. So it would not make a lot of sense for a company to offer things in Russia, because, yeah, then you will be also part of the sanction list, yes, and that will risk all the services. So, but this is how I understand. Maybe you have a different explanation, or are you planning server in Russia? Can I help you?
No, I think that explanation is great. We don't have any plans of placing servers in Russia.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the people, they're still writing. What if you ever, what would happen if a server is seized?
So, I mean, our service, like one of the layers of OVPN when we have built it, and one of the foundation is the hardware. We own all of the VPN servers, and they're physically designed to be inaccessible, even if someone is standing right next to the server. So an additional item is also that they run without any hard drives. So if someone would seize the server, if they would go to the data center, they would unplug it, they would take it, they would have a server, but no user information.
Yeah. There is another question. How is it possible that OVPN can provide the streaming service, and he means about Amazon Prime, Netflix, and so on, without getting banned? I used before Mulvad, and it was impossible to use Prime and Netflix. Well, yeah.
Yes. So this is basically, I mean, I think we've come up with a pretty good solution. It's basically multi-hop that we're using. So what happens is that when you're on one of our VPN servers and you go to Netflix, that traffic is redirected from our VPN server to another server that Netflix doesn't know about. And it's something that we rent from various providers. And then when they get discovered, we shut them down and find elsewhere. So it's a transparent thing, but we basically reroute your traffic automatically. So it's basically multi-hop. And this is only done for the streaming traffic.
I mean, what the users need to understand is that to make able that users can use, for example, Netflix or Amazon Prime in Germany, then you need to do something extra. Yes, it's not like this that and Mulvat is not doing anything for streaming at all, as I understand. They are just using normal servers, and their benefits are not based on streaming issues. This streaming issue most probably is something special also for Germany, because there is a lot of Germans living outside of Germany but want to watch their German content, of course. There is even a lot of people just speaking German and living in France, but there is just the border, and so they get the IP address from France and can't watch home television, right? And so like ARD, CTF, and so on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully this question is answered. Another question. David, what do you think about perfect privacy? Do you know the provider perfect privacy?
Yes. I know of it. I haven't studied them in detail. I would say that, go with OVPN instead, but, I'm not neutral.
Well, okay. Another question. Have you ever had problems with authorities who didn't see that you couldn't give anything out? So, yes, you had. I mean, you didn't have problems, but you had a court case, right? And the people didn't believe that you don't have data, so an expert were included.
Yes, but that actually wasn't a problem with authorities. That was a problem with the movie industry.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So, I mean, authorities, no, we haven't had issues. We have, we respond to their requests. At times, we need to explain it to them a couple of different times or in different ways for them to understand. There is a discrepancy sometimes between sort of the technical knowledge and understanding and, what they're asking about. But if we bridge that gap and sort of just have a conversation to explain the laws that we need to follow and the way we operate our service, then no problems whatsoever.
Okay, so as I see, that was all the questions from our audience. That was pretty a lot. I'm impressed by our users. Thank you very much for those interesting questions, I guess, right? Yeah, here is another question came out. This is the last one. So, dear John, I mean, I like you very much, but this is the last question. What is the average cost of a server? Do you know hardware costs? How much is average?
So hardware cost is hardware cost is probably the lower cost, and then actually running the server service and paying for the bandwidth on a monthly basis. But the average cost might be $1,000 per server, depending on when we buy it. We try to buy them in bulk.
And monthly cost for electricity, internet access, which many people don't understand that it's very expensive, right?
Yes, yeah, it's very expensive. So the hardware cost dwarfs the actual ongoing cost to run the service. Yeah, bandwidth and electricity is the most expensive thing.
For home users, the internet is usually flat rate and they can use as much as they want. But in business, it's not like this. So you pay per gigabyte or terabyte traffic per month, or contract, whatever. So and the bandwidth, the guaranteed bandwidth or the boosted bandwidth, and so on and so on. It's kind of complicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the pricing is very different for private individuals and companies.
Yeah. So we have now two things. Interesting thanks from Patrick, and thank you for the interview and the time, Martin and David.
Ah,
it's our pleasure.
Yes. Thank you, John. Yeah,
super good. I think let's come to an end. We were talking 1 hour exactly. You know, they can provide our video in what is it, in prime time from 8 to 9 at CNN.
No, we need room for commercial then, unless we stream on Netflix.
Yeah, so we need to cut out some things. We need to cut out 80% to add the commercials to be in time.
Yes.
No, I think we won't cut out anything. But what we are going to do is this live stream afterwards will maybe not be online anymore, because this live stream is now in English, and we didn't stream it on the English channel that we have. We will download it and publish it on the English server, English channel, and on the German server, because many of you are from Germany, as I saw. On German, most probably we will even add the version with subtitles, or you can use YouTube subtitle generators then as well. So, so it will be online in any way, couple of hours or maybe also days. Well, David, anything else we want to tell them?
Thank you for taking the time and for listening in on us.
Oh, last message. I love you, OVPN.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love you too.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Thank you for your transparency. Also, some users said. Oh, that's really fine.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay.
My pleasure. Peter.
Thank you very much for joining, dear audience, and thank you very much, David.
Thank you.
And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.